What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video. We're doing a teasy light transformation today on my beautiful client. Today's goal is to be bright, blonde, and blended, but she won't be able to get it touched up until probably closer in the late fall, early winter, because she's going off to college. So I want to make sure we keep that in mind. We also are working with a little bit of chlorine buildup and some hard water. The camera was a little forgiving. Her ends were definitely pretty green, but it just didn't pick it up. So we're going to work on that today too. So starting off, I do a Mohawk sectioning, and I base it off of her natural part, and I just do a Mohawk from there. And then in my Mohawk, since this is where, obviously the top of the hair will be, this is where she'll see her color the most. I want to make sure that it is bright and bold, but yet very blended at the same time. So what I really like to do is I like to go in and do a lot of fine, pretty close back to back, either baby slices or baby weaves, depending on the section and how I feel it will lay on the head. I base a lot of my coloring off of how I believe that section will lay on the head, so sometimes I will weave it and sometimes I'll slice it. It really just depends, at least when it comes to this technique that I'm doing here today. Obviously every client's a little bit different, but on her I'm being pretty, she's also very low maintenance, very non-picky. I've done her hair for a while. She just kind of said, do what you think is best, which I love. That it gave me a lot of creative freedom. And so on her, knowing how her hair grows out, and knowing that I won't be able to see her for a while, I did do lots of back-to-back baby weaves in this area. And so this will kind of make it bold and blended up top, and then I added my boldness kind of on the sides and on the bottom, which we will see later on. So right here you can see I am going in and I'm using the Framar longer pop-up foils. I like to use these in the back so that her foils can process like vertical or hot dog style. And then the brush I'm using is just the Framar. It's like their traditional color brush. I'm not sure what exactly it's called, but it's a little bit larger. And then when I get to the money piece, I use a little bit of a smaller brush, which you guys will be able to see here shortly. And then you can also see, so there's the brush that I'm using. And then I switched to the shorter pop-up foils in this front area as well, just so these can help me kind of get those more narrow areas. For the money piece, I just really go off of the hairline pretty much. On her, these sections kind of go more so diagonal back, and I did 2 back-to-back slices that are teased slightly without any dropout in between. It depends. Depending on how soon I know that they will come back, will depend on if I will tease this section or not. You can kind of see I'm really just pushing those little baby hairs out of the way. I'm not teasing it a whole lot. A lot of times I won't slice it if I know that they come back within like 2 to 3 months, but since I won't see her for a while, I want to make sure that she has the softest grow out possible. So that is why I'm going to brush those little baby hairs up just a little bit, and I am painting up to the root, not right directly on it, if that makes sense, as you can kind of see right there. So yeah, like I said, 2 back-to-back baby slices, and then as I move my way up towards the head, once the head starts to curve a little bit more, I'm going to be taking a little bit bigger sections and teasing a little bit more, and starting to do more baby lighted weaves, which you will see right here. So you can kind of see right here, I am teasing it just slightly more, and then you can see that baby light going in right there. And I'm going to pretty much do this all back to back, no dropouts in between, besides what is left out from the weave. And I do this all the way up until the curving kind of stops, if that makes sense. So we do a bolder money piece on her, but it's still very blended, especially since we do more weaves instead of full slices the whole way up. Let's talk lightener. So the lightener that I'm using is by Oligo Pro. It is their Blacklight extra blonde lightener. I mix the cool tone blonde and the extra blonde. I start off with 10, and then I work my way up. Every time I go remix, I remix a higher developer bowl. So I start off with 10, and I believe the last bowl I used was like 20 or 30. I believe on her I only had to use 2 bowls. I might have had to use like a half bowl for the third one. I can't entirely remember. And then Olaplex was mixed in with that as well. Now that the money piece is pretty finished up, we are going to break up that diagonal sectioning to kind of help. I'm all about the fluidity, so I want to make sure that the money piece is going to flow with the back of the head great. And so I'm going to go back in with my horizontal sectioning like I did in the back with my Mohawk. And I'm doing the same thing here that I was doing in the back, where I'm going to be doing a little bit of a baby weave and teasing it around like an inch, inch and a half back. And this is what's going to help to connect my money piece from the rest of my hair. And then my other sections that I do from here, I'm going to be doing the same thing that I did on my other ones. I'm taking horizontal sections and teasing it around an inch, inch and a half, and
money coming, money go.
Going back and forth.
I've been at it,
baby weave, baby.
I've been at it on the low.
So I do that.
Trapping out of wild. I can see the leaders doing. Let's be talking plans and maybe see.
Now we are moved on over to the side, and you can see. So I'm starting off with the hairline on the side, and I treat this as the money piece as well. So what I'm going to be doing is taking, again, going off of the hairline like I did in the front. I'm going to be taking baby slices, teasing them just a little bit, and painting that up to the roots. The only thing I do differently here is instead of doing weaves back to back, I'm going to be doing all slices with a little bit of dropout in between. Not a lot, but I do want to still have this blonde be pretty bold and high impact. So I kind of chose to make the top more blended, so it has that soft grow out, I decided to make the sides and the back where the pops and the contrast kind of come into play. So it has a very healthy balance between the two. And then you can see here I am connecting the parts from the ear to the front money pieces, which is very important. This one I do weave because this is kind of a more finer, delicate area of the hair. So I almost always weave those sections just so that it still mimics just like the natural hair growth. I'm very big on like foiling with the hair growth, so if it's a finer section that I'm taking, just because the hair is naturally finer in that area, I treat it as that, and then if it's a thicker area, I'll treat it as that as well. So that just all kind of grows so just as fluid as it was applied originally. I'm also going to follow the head shape along here as well, and you guys will see the higher up and the further back that I get, the more I will kind of start to transition back to doing more of a teasy light than doing money piece sections. All right, now that we have connected the front money pieces and the sides, we are going to be going back to traditional teasy lighting. So again, I'm going back in with just some finer sections. I leave a little bit more dropped out, not a lot, but just a little bit more to kind of give it some dimension and pop. I don't pack them in as close as I did in the Mohawk on the sides. I'm back to my longer foils and I'm back to my larger brush. And I do more slicing on the bottom, again, for that more pop and that more, just a little bit more contrast. And then as I work my way up to the top, I do a little bit more traditional weaving. I don't do as like finer baby light weaves like I did up top in that Mohawk, just because this is like the sides, as long as you place your foils correctly, the sides and the back, that's kind of where you can play around with having more contrast in those areas, in my opinion. So that's what I do up here. I kind of follow that all the way up until I meet pretty much until I meet the Mohawk foils that I did. So I'm gonna let you guys kind of just continue and watch here.
But let me tell you what you mean to me. Slide on me for that meet and greet. Vibe with me in the moonshine, sipping moonshine to the new sky. Say's toasted and be raised soaked in the raincoat. Hit the waves quota, I be flossing, I be locked in. Was lost here. All that turned me to a target. They be plotting on me, I be cautious. Back then I was an adolescent, then I had a lesson. I'm the man now. I got fans now. I'm on cam now. I got plans now. I'm finna branch out. Grew up quick, but never let go this year. I put all of that in my rip. Blue tin papers, blowing vapors, wooden traders. Long hair killer in my villa, bitch, I made it. Used to play the play, now I think we major now. She wanna lay me down, I'ma need you to hold me all the way down. Hold it down for me, say you down for me. Say you hold it all the way down. Hold it down for me, hold it down for me. Say you hold it all the way down. Say you down for me, hold it down for me. Say you hold it all the way down. Down for me, say down for me. Wait, okay. I really got Sound like it's 10 of me. Sauce drip, I got the recipe. And you can find me where that pressure be. I've been levitated in the preparation. I've been meditated. I've been hella patient. I'm so tired of waiting. I got right here with my day. From where that crevice be. I've been silent since the less of me. Out here with the sea, really in the field. I'm really on cam now. I got plans now. I'm finna branch out.
I did the same thing on the other side that I did this one, so I didn't include that in. And I did pretty much the same thing in the back as well. I just didn't do any weaving. I did all slicing. And this is what everything looks like. I'll apply. As you can see, I also tipped out her ends as well because most of them were pretty dull. I left the ones that were blonde enough out, obviously. But, yeah, this is what everything looks like all applied. So here at the bowl, I am going in with 2 different Malibus. I'm using a Malibu Blonde and a Malibu Hard Water treatment. I just let these sit in for around like 5 to 10 minutes. I don't normally mix them, but I did the blonde because I want to make sure I got that chlorine out. And I wasn't sure if the hard water one was going to get that out. So, but I didn't have the swimmer's treatment on me at the time. And then I did the hard water one because, like I said previously, she does have hard water as well. And this worked perfectly. I knew she was a true nice level 9 underneath all of that. I did not want to lighten all of her ends. So this is perfect to get all of that buildup out without having to lighten without what wasn't needed. And then pre-toning hair with the Unite Blonda purple shampoo. I like to work this in for around like a good minute or so to kind of really help to, one, this is nice too because a lot of purple shampoos are slightly clarifying, so they also help to remove a little bit of buildup as well. And then also too, it's a nice pre-toner, make sure everything's all nice and balanced tone wise. And then I go through after this and balance out her pH. And give a little bit of a treatment as well. I'm using the Olaplex 4-in-1 Moisture Mask. And I also love this. I like to do something treatment-wise just because it helps me to, 1, detangle out the tease. And 2, it's also a treatment for her as well. Her hair still felt very healthy without it. But I feel like it's just a nice little added value for your client as well. I do a few different things to balance the pH. I've been really loving the 4-in-1 Moisture Mask right now, just because that's pretty new. I also use Olaplex number 2 though, and the Biolage Acidic Milk Rinse is good. I have a whole ton. And then this is her toner right now. I did not film me actually applying it, but on her root, I have Gloss 6N, 7A, 7AI with 7NB. And then her ends, I have Gloss as well, both from Oligo, 9V, 9A, 9AI. And I have the exact portions listed down in the description as well. And you can see what it looks like, you guys. I am obsessed. Courtney is like the dream blonde client, I swear. The sun was starting to set in this too. I kind of wish the lighting would have gotten it a little bit better, but you can kind of see it a little bit more in this clip too. So you can see she's bright. She's got a nice bright money piece, but it's all very blended and very fluid. And she shouldn't need this touched up until she comes back in the late fall, early winter as well. Green ends be gone as well too. Yeah, it's very, very pretty, and we are loving it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to leave all of my socials down in the description as well. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure you subscribe so that you can see all my future ones. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Say